is 6:03.
Tiffany, I don't have a packet.
Yeah, it's right
Right there in
there.
front
Oh,
of
it's
you.
in here.
And she
Yeah.
got them tabbed by the agenda numbers. She organized it.
She's on top of this organization thing.
Because we're always losing. People are saying, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that.
Got it.
I think it's great. What did you
Okay,
say?
you ready to do the pledge?
Yeah, but what was the time?
6:03.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How are you?
I'm good. Okay, roll call of directors.
Doctor.
Doctor again. Director Garcia.
Here.
Director Nyman.
Here.
Director Schoenberg.
Here.
And Director Gibson.
I'm here.
And Director Kelling is here. That's 5 of us. Yay. Do we need to adjust the agenda any?
I don't think so.
Table.
Did you look at it, Director Schoenberg?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Public comments that's not listed on the agenda? Yes.
Elke Heitmeier, I lost to you, fortunately.
Fortunately.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I went to the election office thinking they would educate me on what the positions mean, but they knew nothing, and so I didn't really want your job. But
Oh, come
I
on.
think the high number of votes I got, who is a newcomer to the community, indicates that the public has difficulty understanding this board, has difficulty seeing transparency, and has a lot of, and they have been approaching me, you know. So today somebody said, oh, I hike up there and there's a well, Pine Canyon somewhere
Pine
up here.
Canyon, yeah. Pine
And there's a
Canyon.
well, and the water comes out and it's running straight, the pipe is cut and it's running straight into the mountain.
That's
You know,
true.
which is,
that's
okay,
true,
this replenishes maybe the groundwater, but is
No.
that the point?
Mhm.
And so, I just wanna bring to your attention that the public needs more information about what you're doing and what the details are, because they're all calling to me about complaints, and I
Hang
said,
on.
I don't know anything.
Well, let us educate you.
Yeah, I'd like to comment
Jump.
on, the first thing is, nobody ever comes to the meetings to be
Thank you.
educated.
There's a start.
Nobody, even you've only been here one time.
Yeah.
We are so transparent, it's bleeding out of us. We're constantly in the newspaper, we're live streamed on YouTube, you can go on our website. I talk to people until I'm blue in the face. Nobody's ever gonna understand what's going on in the system unless they come to the meetings. You taking out little bits of information isn't gonna do it. Coliform, so we can't use the water. So people that are hiking and seeing that may be a little bit shocked, but nobody ever comes to
Address it or question.
to address it or no, because I've addressed that several times in board meetings, but nobody ever comes. So then they come and they sit in one of these nice chairs right here, and they'll understand a lot better after they do it for a little bit.
All right, well, I'll try to understand.
Yeah.
It helps a lot if you sit in the board meetings for a while. Yeah.
I'd like to address the questions, and the thing is that we have a lot of stuff going on, and that the state and the federal entities that we deal with to get funding for some of our projects are very slow-moving mechanisms. And so they might think it's, oh, nothing ever happens when they sit here, but by the same token, we can only move at the pace that the agencies we are doing business with allow us to. Right now, we're in a holding pattern until for something until we get funding. It's not like they're going to come to one meeting and find out all that we've been doing for the last 10 years or 12 years for Director Schoenberg, whatever it is. I know it's more than mine, but I've been seated on this board for 10 years. And once I was appointed because of a a lack of a director on the board, and so I was appointed for that term, but I've run twice since then. And I ran opposed one time, and I won the election, and I have been ran unopposed since then. So it means either that I'm doing such a great job that nobody thinks they can do what I do, or they don't have the gumption to get out in a cold evening where it's windy and breezy and it's a little uncomfortable, and you have to leave the comfort of your home to be a part of this. And it's like the snail and the hare, you know, the turtle, tortoise, and the hare. We come here week in or month in, month out, and it's just recently we're meeting twice a month just to take care of all the business at hand. So it's really frustrating when we hear these comments. It's usually rumor control and opinions of their friends and neighbors, which becomes law out in the town because nobody wants to make effort to come and actually participate in. Our meetings are long and they're not necessarily exciting, but this is what it takes to run the business, and is explained and actually debated sometimes amongst us if we're of different opinion, and it's all doors wide open. The seats, we've got 12 seats there, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 seats, if that, when we have our meeting.
And it doesn't matter how many times I talk to them and tell them and give them information, everybody has their unscientific opinion, and most of them haven't been to this board meeting. So I don't know what to do for the community other than to continue to do what we do, and hopefully people will show up, or if they have an issue, that they can at least come during this period and share with us, hey, on this issue I have a problem, and could we do this differently, or maybe this is a suggestion. I mean, we're always open to listen to the public as to what they want to bring to us. So,
And the agenda is put on the website the Monday before the meeting, so they can go on Monday morning, Monday afternoon. They'll see what we're going to cover, and if they have something other than what's on the agenda, they can come and bring it up.
And you can also go on there and get the minutes going back how many years?
I have at least 4 years now of back minutes.
Yeah, so that's all good.
So the website is a great tool, and as far as the elections office not giving you information, that's because they're a whole different entity, and our board consists of the 5 of us, and we all have 2, 3, 4, 5, and we rotate positions. So it's not like.
Which position did you want?
Do something. I went to the election office, and so I picked Terry's position 5. I think you are.
Right.
yeah.
So I
You
didn't
said
run
you
a
picked-
very solid campaign.
You said you picked it because you thought it was a man. You wanted to run against a man instead of a woman. So just to throw that out there, because that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mother didn't know how. I was supposed to be the last boy, and I wasn't the last boy, so she had to have another girl before she got her last boy. So I'm. But I was always told that. Go ahead.
I was going to say too, just to be clear, even though you're running against that particular board seat, that doesn't mean that you would come in as president of the board, because
No,
we
because
have,
we rotate positions. We
right,
rotate
and we have mandated that you can't just come in here and be present unless you're coming to meetings constantly, because it would be very difficult to just slide into. It's very difficult to slide into any of the seats unless you're coming for a while.
Yeah.
But it's
6
even
months,
more
right?
difficult. Yeah, so we have a 6-month waiting period to be president,
Okay.
and then we rotate.
And they were actually kind to me. They waited a year,
Mhm.
so because I was.
I just
And it's a lot to
decided-
take in.
Because water is so important around here, I just wanted to make a contribution.
Yeah, we
And I will
appreciate that.
continue to
Keep-
come
yeah,
here
keep
and
coming.
support you. I will write an article for the enterprise about what my impression is and what you have
Yeah,
explained
maybe
to
you get
me.
more people to
That'd be
come.
awesome.
Yeah.
That would be
More
great.
participation would be key.
Yeah.
People like you that come,
Yeah.
the more people that actually sit here and understand, the better off everybody's going to be.
Yeah, the more educated people become about what really is transparent. I mean, what is really actually happening
Yeah.
versus the rumors would be.
Yeah.
And also the costs involved. I mean, Most people think, oh, I turn on my tap and I get my water, but they don't realize, you know,
I went through your budget. I think, why are they having so much money? And then I realized what you all.
oh yeah, I mean, you can do a mile of pipe and it'll cost you, what, a couple $100,000.
More than that.
We-
One million, it's a couple $100,000 for
Yeah.
like a block.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we spent
Yeah.
we got a $3 million, over $3 million grant and loan, and it really doesn't go that far. We got some tanks, and it depends on
4 water tanks and about a block of main
a
line.
block of main line. It depends on, we
How long
had
did it take to get that?
to get that a while.
It took a long time for you guys from planning phase, from when you guys
The
had.
second one
the
was
phases
harder
drawn up.
because it took longer because we were having trouble with the engineering and all that. So it was like 4 years.
Took a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like with the connecting the annexation that we're trying to do. I mean, that's been going on, what,
Oh yeah, the
2.5
6 years?
3 years. The
Yeah.
annexation's
Three.
been about
2014 it started. First
2014. 4
Yeah.
years. Wow.
4 or 5.
coming on
So
5.
so I'm like,
and we haven't gotten very far.
Well,
Th-
Prop 3
that's
hasn't
not-
passed, didn't pass either, so who knows what's gonna happen with funding there.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Plus, you know how much they get paid?
I know.
yeah,
Okay,
okay,
thank you.
thank you very
Oh,
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Report of officers, President, I have nothing. Vice President,
I have nothing.
Secretary,
Yeah.
Mine will be part of the ad hoc.
Oh,
okay,
I was gonna say,
Treasurer,
oh, secretary, shoot, treasurer, yes.
you're the treasurer now.
So we did make the transfer from the operating fund to the emergency reserve of the $150,000. That was done last month. And also I just put in the 4 different amounts that have to go into the replacement fund. And for Loan 6 is the reserve fund and the replacement fund.
Oh, no.
So I made all those for this month. And I'm waiting for Linda to get the information from the state as to the exact amount. She says she's figured it out, but I want to verify it when the state sends us the information so that I know that we're putting the correct amounts, and then I'll put the transfers for the rest of the year in.
And just for anyone to understand what he's talking about, we are obligated to cover, we have bonds that we did for our first and second USDA, the loan portion, not the grant portion, which was free, but the loan portion, we had to issue bonds, and so we're obligated to cover those bonds by putting money into different funds that will cover us if for some reason we didn't have enough money to make a payment or to pay off the loan. So every month we're required to put a certain amount into something called a reserve fund and also a replacement fund.
And the replacement fund is for replacement of whatever we fix. So if during, like, one of the loans, we had like the 4 tanks like he was talking about, and that block of piping, if that area goes bad or something goes bad, then they give us authorization to take that money to fix.
And that one's actually federal, not state.
Well, whomever it is, we gotta get permission.
Yeah.
So, it's,
And
It's
I think
complicated.
that's all my report.
okay, and member at large,
No, nothing this month.
okay. Board member initiatives, I don't think there's any. Anyone else have any?
No.
Okay. Managers report,
okay.
Number 6.
We did 188 work orders during the month. We had 4 mainline breaks, Elm Trail again, Los Padres, Johnson, and Michigan. A couple of after hours call outs for emergency shutoffs. And as you guys know, we have a lot of, we always have a shortage of dirt. So I mentioned this before, but I had agreed with the superintendent of Flying J that I would help bring about 40 foot in dump trailers full of dirt, plus an additional 4 or 5 10-wheel dump trucks full of dirt. all delivered to Monte Vista Well. So we got a phenomenal amount of dirt for no more than $3,000 and possibly for free. Because I seen it down there, I started going down there talking to the guy, and so I ended up scoring on the dirt, and it's pretty good dirt too.
Excellent.
Got
Good
real
looking
rock.
out there, Johnny.
It was really
Yeah.
good. I was sitting there kind of drooling over the dirt, which sounds funny, but like, man, I sure wish we had that dirt. And I figured, well, I'll just stop and ask him.
Okay, that sounds hilarious.
So we got tons of it, so it worked out good.
Question?
Yeah.
Do we still have contact or connection to get any miscellaneous base that was ground up when the project was going through up on 5?
I do not have a contact for that, but I could get base that's not mixed with dirt yet from Flying J probably right now, but I'd have to pay for the trucking. And the reason why we don't just use our own dump truck is because I found from 2 days of hauling, it's not time effective trying to run our own loader down there and making trips in our little dump truck when, you know, you really want like one of them 40-foot in dumps.
Right?
So you're effective in a large quantity of dirt, but I could probably get some of that ground up road base down there.
I'm just thinking I know that dirt has one specific use,
Yeah.
backfill and whatnot, but then when you get the repairs done and whatnot, then you usually dress up the road on top, and the dressing up is always much better with base material.
Yeah, plus when we have a main, when it does rupture than it does if it's just regular dirt, so. Also,
So there's use for both is what my point is.
yeah, and I'll continue to work on getting that as well. But we just finished last week on getting the dirt, so I'll move to that.
We're dirt rich.
We're dirt rich right now, yeah. Okay, this is another topic.
Can I just ask if we can give Johnny a whatever we want to say, vote of confidence or on
Kudos?
getting to get additional the
road
ground
base?
concrete,
Just direct
which
him
is
to
not
get it
totally road based, but it's the all the stuff they've been grinding, because they're probably going to want to get rid of some of that too.
Yeah, pretty quick, yeah.
I would think so.
Well,
Rather
how
than
much would the trucking be?
It depends on how much we get, but it's far cheaper to get it when we're just paying for the trucking than when we're paying for the trucking and the material. So
Let's extend that another $3,000 cap or something like that.
3,000, yeah.
So
That way he
you
doesn't
wanna
have
make
to
a motion?
scramble to call people.
Yeah. Or you can. Yeah, I'll move that we give Johnny the vote of confidence, the limit of $3,000 for trucking to obtain whatever we can in the quantities of road base for repairs on the roads that we do after any mainline breaks.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
cool. The next thing is FYI only for currently. I've been talking to a board member from Lake of the Woods. The thought has been being tossed around a little bit that if we could take over their maintenance program, right now they have an outside guy taking care and then my side of it is if we could do that, then we could familiarize ourselves before we even do the annexation. So I thought it was kind of a long shot. I sent Ernest an email and asked him. And he said, yeah, there's nothing legally would prevent us from doing that.
How would we do payroll?
Well, it wouldn't be them paying payroll as much as a set contract amounts. Like, you know, this amount to take care of the regular system, this amount for repairs per hour, or if we even do repairs, you know, might say, you know, Santana comes in and does the repairs and we just do the maintenance.
But they've got to take it to their board, right? I'm
Right,
sorry,
so,
not
but
ours.
what we need to do is we need to put this as an agenda item, and we need to discuss how.
And invite them.
Yeah,
to see.
and also discuss how and what the charges would be, you know,
Oh, yeah,
as
of
far
course.
as how we come up with a contract number.
Yeah, and I'm you know, familiar with that stuff, and we could just basically get a starting point of what they've been paying. I don't know how much of their board is interested in this, but I wanted to make sure it was something you guys were at least interested in before I wasted
If
anybody's
you feel you
time.
have the capacity and manpower to handle that.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that. What about
Well,
manpower?
one guy right now is taking care of it, and it only comes up here, I don't know how many times a week, but not that many. So I'm confident we could do it, especially if repairs don't fall on us. If we just have Santana or whoever normally goes out there and fix it, that would be
That would keep it
easier.
simple.
That would keep it much simpler.
Sure.
So it's currently someone off the hill that's coming up and doing it?
Yeah. He's actually coming from Marvin.
I wanted to
Director
speak,
Dustin.
I think, what was your question? How would we do payroll? Because we wouldn't have to do payroll. They're still operating as a company. We would just add an
Have a
additional contract or work.
And
Yeah,
they
it
So
would
send
we
be
that-
would
more
get paid
revenue.
for it.
It would be
Yeah, just
revenue.
more revenue,
It'd
but
be
we,
revenue.
but we would maintain our payroll, they would maintain their payroll. We're not gonna commingle funds yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's not gonna be, we're not gonna make a killing off it, but we'll be familiarizing ourselves.
I think
with
that's the
system.
big point right there.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea. So.
Before we're, bite off the
Stuck with
whole.
something we don't know about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll let them know that, you guys are at least open to that.
And then put
And we
it
can
down
put
as
it
an
on the
agenda
next
item.
agenda.
December?
Yeah, we can try and see if we, if they can get something going, cause they ain't gonna do any good to vote on until we get some form of.
Well, yeah, but we need to discuss
Yeah,
if
'cause
we
we gotta
want
make
a
sure he's-
contract.
speaking for the whole
What
board,
I'm saying is
right?
we have to get a rough
Yes.
draft of what it's gonna be before you guys can sit down and vote on hashing it out, so hopefully by December or January.
Okay.
I'm a board member from Lakeville
Oh,
Watts, and
Yes, you
so I
are.
can, I might be able to fill in a little bit here. I'm not in a position to make an agreement
you're
or
not.
even offer terms or anything else like that. But our situation is that we have, our operator comes up 3 times a week, and he checks the levels in the tanks and does repairs. He's also the guy who comes out after hours and emergency stuff and stuff. So he gets the stuff first, and then he makes the decision if we're going to, if he and his assistants can do the work, or if it is better to hire, one of the other companies, Santana in particular. He has a T1 license. This is a little more mundane stuff that I really want to get into because I'm not really prepared to speak about it.
Right.
You have an operator that has a T2, and we are required by the state to operate our blending station with a T2 operator. And if we don't, which right now we've had one of our board members is from Pinion Pines, he has a T2, and he's been doing that stuff for us, but we're really putting a strain on him. He's got a new baby, he's got his own full-time job, and he's been very, very helpful to us, and he's been helpful to anybody else who asks.
That's awesome.
But it's not altogether fair to make these kinds of demands on him. And ideally, it would be nice if our guy got a T2 license. He says that he's going to sit for the test in April. We would like to have something in place that we can go to the state and say we have satisfied your requirements completely, and we'd like to do that in January because our operator's contract with us, his agreement with us, expires in January. We would really like to make the decision at our board meeting in December. So to feel a little bit of pressure. We would prefer not to go to a month-to-month contract because 30 days may not be enough time for us to get a replacement on it. So we would like to have a longer contract, 6 months, a year, something like that. So that's what our situation is. So we approached a private company that does this, I believe in Bakersfield, whose name I don't remember right now. And we even have a bid for him, which is not too much higher than what we're currently paying for our operator. Our operator says he's going to sit for the T2 test in April, and he may be able to give us somebody temporarily. That would mean we wouldn't have to say we're not going to renew the contract. We were thinking that the best thing is, since this board or this water company is going to take over, and when you take over, this won't be a question anymore. It'll happen automatically. You'll probably have to take on more people, but you're gonna you're gonna have the same situation then. And we thought maybe we can jump the gun a little bit, and if we can make an arrangement with you that is not substantially different than the arrangement we can make with a private company, that would be to our immediate benefit and your future benefit.
Yeah.
We were hoping. In the meantime, we had this discussion at the beginning of the month, and in the meantime, our operator has somehow it built a fire under him, and so he's very eager to try to keep his job. So that's about everything that I know about this. So we would really appreciate it if you could think seriously about it and at least present us with another option.
Can we get your name, please, for the record?
Stan Eisman.
Stan, thank you, Stan.
Now, if we took over and then he got his T2, would you want to change back over to him?
I don't think it would be fair. Like I
No.
said, what we would do with you would be at the very minimum a 6-month contract, probably a year-to-year contract until the time, especially if it worked out. Let's assume, you know, only good stuff here.
Yeah.
If something negative should happen, that's a whole different thing. But if everything went nicely, then the idea probably would be that this would just carry through on a year-by-year basis all the way to the annexation, when the question wouldn't come up anymore, or whatever existing contract existed between us. Our existing contract with our operator is a January to December contract. If the annexation took place, say in July, you know, then it would be easier to dissolve that contract with you, and it would just go away.
That sounds like a win-win situation.
That's what we were hoping for.
Director Schoenberg.
I would say the thing that we would most need would be the whatever contract you have with, or you know, an idea of what the contract amounts would be, so that we have that. And you know, like if we were able to put it on December's agenda, and actually have, you know, additional board members here.
And maybe Pam can give the information to Johnny so that we have it for.
Yeah,
And
we could. I'm sure that within a week we could give you more solid numbers. I'm guessing that it would be in the neighborhood of $40,000. And the reason I say that is that if you did it under contract, see right now, the salary that we're giving he's our employee, okay, but he's working on a year-to-year contract, is considerably less than that. But we also give him benefits, unemployment insurance,
Right.
all those other things, which you give your own people.
Correct.
If you contracted with us, again, this is not set in stone, we wouldn't do that, and so we would basically compensate you for what you're already doing, and you wouldn't really have to double it if you use your own people. So as you said, that's what we were looking at as a win-win situation. If we deal with a private guy, then he has no choice. He has to bill us for the work and for the salary for his people and for the benefits. So
I just want to say that it really interests me for two reasons. One is, you know, like I said, I really think we don't know enough about the system because we haven't worked on the system, and it'd be really helpful for us to get more knowledge of your system.
okay.
And I think it also helps us to understand how that would affect this company, because we need to know also, like, you know, if we're spread too thin, then we need to know that we're going to need to hire more people. It allows us to plan ahead.
I
Get up
understand.
to speed.
Okay,
So-
point of order,
Yeah,
we
can-
need to,
Can we just put this on
the agenda?
next
Yeah.
month's
December
agenda?
agenda? Yeah.
If I could say one more sentence.
Sure.
It's kind of in your direction. You know. For us right now, the most important thing is the license for the blending station. And you can talk about that with your own operator, and he can give you a much better answer than I can. So he has the license, I mean, he already has the certificate license.
Yeah,
Yeah,
certificate,
okay.
yeah.
So he's kosher. And that would solve our biggest problem.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else, Johnny?
Yeah, I still have more stuff
Okay.
covered. Sean and Logan both went and got Logan got his D1, Sean got his D2. So they both got their $1 an hour pay increases. The auditors were here yesterday doing their field work. Went really well. They complimented us on how much better it was this year. And I talked to them a little bit about how they're going to do it next year, because you have to change that above high up auditor, you know, whoever oversees things. But the field worker would still be able to come. It's come the last couple of years. So that's helpful because he understands the system, but he brought 2 new people this time. And so we, did their spot checks and all that kind of stuff. I had well 5 sounded again by Edison Pump Efficiency. We're down about 10 feet static level from 2 years ago. On the pumping level, we're down about 38 feet. My recommendation with well 5 is this: we can't sound it, as you guys know, because of the columns and everything, which is very unfortunate. We know the well was drilled to 600 feet, but we have no idea how good it is all the way down, or how deep it actually is. If our pumping level is currently at 100 feet, our bowls are set at 118 according to the information we got. I think it's time to spend, because we haven't done it at least in the whole length of time I've been here, get it cambered so we know exactly what's going on with everything, and if possible put in a way to sound that well all at the same time. I called up D, told him about the numbers and stuff, and asked him if he thought that was a good idea too. He said yeah, if it turns out that something major needed to be done, we might be able to fold it into the project cost, but otherwise we would just be doing the regular maintenance and stuff on it. So I didn't have a chance when I got these to put it on the agenda, but I think we need to get Bakersfield Pump or Farm Pump to come up here and do the rehab on it. And then with the camera, we'll have better information to know what to do. To my knowledge, the only thing we've cambered since I've been here was well 3. It's been a long time, so.
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Johnny, you've lost me because I don't know what you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'm sure these guys understand it. I don't understand what you mean by hammering and pulling it and and well 5, isn't that the one in the yard?
No.
No.
Oh.
No, that's
Well,
Well,
yours,
well,
one
5.
coming into town.
Well 5 is our best producer. It
Okay,
produces
so one
more
over
water.
by Ace,
and-
off that by the school.
Yeah, typically
Okay.
what they do is you pull out the well. A well doesn't suck. I don't know if you know how wells work. It
No,
doesn't.
we don't. But
A well doesn't suck water out like I always thought with like a straw. It actually pushes the water out. So you got
There's a
these
pump,
things.
a submergible pump down at the bottom.
Yeah, the pumps are down at the bottom and they spin real fast, and then they force the water up the column.
oh, okay.
So-
I wondered how you didn't get all that sand and dirt.
Yeah. So then as it's pushing it out of the ground, you got an outside pipe that holds the earth back that's got holes in it, and then you got the center column that actually has the water flow through it.
Okay.
We have no idea how good those perforations are, or the pipe that's holding neither the column or the casing, but
Okay.
there's the only way you could sound it is by sending a wire down next to the pipe, all the way down, and it's too tight of a space. We can't, when I sweet talk them enough to come out and do it. I think it is time. Dee even said that if we had to sound the well, we could actually go with a smaller diameter column and then a bigger, faster motor. Some combination that's going to give us enough room to actually do what we need to do, and also lower it from the pumping level of 111, lower it from 118, at least 60 feet down into the ground, so we have plenty of room.
Yeah, because that was my concern, is whether we're getting pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we're
pretty
operating
scary.
too small a little
Yeah.
bracket.
Yeah, and I couldn't get him to come out last year.
So let me
I wanted to.
ask a question. So if you're at 111 feet and our bowl is at 118, if you hit 118, you're going to start getting air in the
We
line.
start getting air, yeah, which we haven't gotten any air or nothing, so we're still okay now. We're at the beginning of winter. Hopefully we're gonna get some winter. It's gonna come back. You also know that, the standing level is not drastic. Standing level's at 55.4 feet. So
And
it's
that's when you're not pumping.
that's when you're not pumping or nothing, but, so it could be a combination of the,
That's a static level.
it could be plugged up. It might need to be, swabbed out, brushed out, get some more, holes open. But whatever it may be, it's better to know now before a crisis hits.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to go ahead and proceed with it, or if you want to put it on the agenda for December to decide.
Terry?
Director Schoenberg.
That well being down for a minute or two, how's that gonna affect?
We can
it?
handle it because we did it when we rebuilt the tank in the booster house, so we know how to do valving to still get water to its pressure zone.
Okay.
So we did it for the whole time before. So yeah.
And winter would be the time to do it when the water use is down, right?
Yeah, wintertime would be the time to do it. Yeah.
Director Schoenberg.
And that's our best producing well, so it is in our interest to keep it in good shape.
Absolutely.
So you want to make a motion to put it on the agenda, or to put it to authorize work?
You can direct him to work, but the motion would have to be an agenda item.
Yeah. I think we should direct him to work.
I would agree with that because there's nothing really to vote over because the price is going to be the price.
And we're hiring an outside
Yeah, we
company.
need it.
Yeah.
It
And
is
it's
what it is.
it's a perfect time to get started on it, so we.
Yeah, you can't get bids and then go with the best bid in this situation. We just pick which person we have worked with. D recommends Bakersfield Pump.
We've had good luck with them.
We've used them. We've used Farm Pump the most,
Oh,
but
that's right.
but in the last few years, I found that they seem to be less concerned about our business
Our well-being.
than they used to be. So
What was when that old guy left? He used to be.
when the old guy left and a new old guy came in,
He didn't have no love, did he?
yeah, we don't have the relationship that we once had. So okay, so
So is everybody okay with directing him to do
Yeah,
the work?
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not snowing yet or
Okay.
anything. This is a good time.
Yeah.
If it snows.
I'm trying to hurry, guys. The next thing is Wolf Tank. The one that was failing is empty. We accomplished that. There's no water in it. We're good. Now it's a cell phone tower. Basically what it is, shaped like a water tank. So
Until we do something.
when and if we get to the point where we're gonna do it. We're roughly at 2 million gallons of storage now instead of 2.1 like we were before, so it wasn't too drastic of a loss.
And
We're
that's
cool-
the
we're cool
bill that
without
we
it
have
then,
in
huh?
here that,
We're good without it?
Yeah, it seems to not be really affecting anything. You always want as much storage as you can get, but since that was such an old tank, I mean, maybe
That's-
eventually we could do something about it, but
Yeah, that's the older tank and the smaller tank.
yeah, it's smaller and older, yeah.
that's the $2,000 bill that we had for the diver to
Yeah.
to fix inside.
Yeah,
the tank.
he temporarily plugged the hole so it wouldn't fail while we were trying to get a drain. But the most important thing is we couldn't shut it off from the system because the valve didn't work.
I saw we bought a new valve.
So he had to go inside the tank and plug up the hole, the outlet, while we pulled the valve out and put a new valve in so we can shut it off so it stops water from flowing into it. And then once you stop water from flowing into it, you also stop water from flowing out of it, which is why we had to give the water to Trinity and have them pay for your hauling cost because we had to get the water out. I tried to reuse the water and I wanted to pump it from the back tank to the front tank. Our state regulator said that there's no way to ensure potability of the water by doing that. So he recommended that we not try to reuse that water, just to take it out and do basically what we did with it. So, because we would have had to try to use one of our trash pumps with hose and hope that it stays disinfected between the back tank and the front tank, and it wasn't gonna work.
So Trinity took it and used it for a manufacturing person?
Yeah, because they have to pay to haul water. So Logan came up with the idea, have to worry about it failing and washing out the houses below it, because that was my concern. You guys remember they've been here when Sam Young was failing and the hole came in the side of the tank and it was blowing through the fence. That's what Wolf Tank was doing. And it was right at the base, and the diver said it was useless to try to fix that
Mhm.
permanently. It's an old tank, just do without it, so.
And that would have created that same problem that we already had someone come in about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the water would have flowed down that same path.
Exactly, and it would have flown.
And we would
It
have
would
had
have
even more
flown.
problems.
It would have flowed through the same yards.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
Yeah, it would have been all bad. So.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Trinity was glad to have it.
You have it. They were appreciative, and it
that's
helped
great.
us out of our situation. So,
Good job.
Um,
Another win-win.
The next thing is our have, and the ones that, you know, even the last one that Greg bought way back when, they do not keep up with the demand when we have some of the leaks that we got. They're too small. We wind up with 2 or 3 or 4 pumps sitting around the hole.
What's our largest size?
4-inch, and that's the one that Greg bought, and it never primes, and that's part of our problem. We'll get them running, they pump fine, but then when you get the hole drained, it's supposed to stop pumping for a minute, and then when water gets back up to a certain level, it
Like a
automatically
float
pumps.
actuator or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically, they self-prime and they'll pump when they need to. These don't do it, so you finally get this big hole with an 8-inch pipe ruptured, and you finally get it drained so you can try to work on it, and then the pumps lose prime, and then it fills all the way back up again while you're trying to get it to prime. So the ones that we rent, it's costing so much money all the time.
And it takes time to go get it.
It takes
everything when we have a leak.
It takes
which
a
I've
huge
always
amount
had
of
an
time.
issue with.
It takes a huge amount of time, and you can't ever foresee when you're going to need it. So we need to seriously consider. I don't want to nickel and dime us to death with this stuff, but those big diesels that we rent, they're pricey, but that's what we need. And
6-inch?
Yeah, they're 6-inch, and typically you just bell reduce them down to 4-inch, unless they seem to be super good. We might even be able to get a used one. I have to see what the
Do we know what kind of cost they're at? About how
I
much?
think they're probably around 30,000, but they might be as cheap as 15 or 20, or you might be able to get one that's used. But when you buy the used ones, you always run into the same problem: is they're selling them for a reason.
Yes.
Right.
They're not selling them because they're still running great and they could rent them out. So I'll start looking at pricing for that.
Yeah, can we put that on the agenda?
Yeah.
Because I have issues because we pay that in person power for how long we have guys just sitting around
Wait a
while we
minute.
go and get rent the pump in the middle of the night or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's true.
And I was trying to get us to get it when we did the USDA, but we just didn't have enough money.
Enough money, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Well, I think
Get
it's
some,
something
start
we
doing some
need to
shopping
do.
and bring us some
I
numbers
will.
for December.
Absolutely. And then the last thing is, you guys voted to get the scanner for Linda's office. At the time, that we didn't need the service agreement. When Tiffany called him up to actually order it, he said, "No, I really think you do need it. I think you do need the service agreement because, whatever reason, because if something goes wrong, it's going to benefit us." So I went ahead and signed the agreement, the maintenance agreement, and now bringing it to you because of that, because it goes against what you guys actually thought we were doing. But I trust him. I trust his
$500 a year or something.
For 400 a year.
400 a year.
And it'll start, not the first year we own the machine, it's covered by the warranty, it'll start the second year.
So then it'll actually be a year old before it actually kicks in.
Can't we buy it a year later then?
I don't know if they would do that for us, but
Probably not.
Well, they're not gonna charge us, we're
It's-
not gonna
yeah,
get
it's-
charged
okay.
until the
It's
full
the-
year runs out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Covered for the first year.
and since it's such a pricey piece of equipment, I figure it's probably better to get the.
Director Schoenberg.
And I asked because I had forgotten to ask when we agreed on that to make sure that it could run the receipts that Linda was concerned about, and I think you
Yeah, I asked
ascertained
him
they can.
again.
And then I kind of felt that they were so good with us about this
Copy
copier when it went bad. It didn't go bad, but when we needed something better. And I kind of feel like they would probably do the same thing on this, so that if for some weird reason it no longer worked, which is what we had with the NEAT, because it didn't apply anymore as far as the software being good enough, I think that they would work on a deal with us. We should be able to take that money. I'm still on before we go away from the manager's report on the pump. That should actually be able to come out of the reserve for the. My brain's not working because I don't feel good.
Pipeline.
We would have money to cover it out of that.
Good.
So.
Okay. Tiffany.
So, gosh, almost 2 weeks ago, I came back from the board secretary conference that I do annually. It was a really good conference. It never stops being useful. It's all good information, new laws, things like that it's really good to keep aware of. Old laws that we need to be aware of. So it turned out really well. Commuting with the two other, or it turned out to be 3 other water companies, saved a lot. And I think I estimated something like $1,500 that it would cost us. But all said and done, it was probably a lot less than that, maybe $500.
Wow.
So, no, it's really only room and our 1/4 of the gas, or the mileage. I mean, the meals were maybe $11 total for the whole thing. So it just, everything,
Worked out well.
it worked out well and kept the cost down. So that's a good thing. We're done with all the policies for the transparency certification. I took more pictures this week of the staff to throw online. So I believe in the next, probably within the next month, I'll be able to send the application in for our transparency. And I hear they're pretty quick about it. They go through, they review everything. So we're almost ready.
So
We're almost ready, and
an
that'll be
estimate-
really good.
An estimate of completion would be January, February?
February, I mean, if I take this month to get everything all squared away, submit it maybe another month to approve it, we could, as soon as February, be approved and possibly have it, provided I got everything right.
For
So-
Elke's benefit, since she probably doesn't know what we're talking about exactly, we actually went through there's a transparency program that sort of lays out all of these different steps you can take to try to assure that we're as transparent as we can be. And so we've been doing it for how many months now, or we've been
At least 6
jumping
months.
through every hoop that they have certain things about your website. I mean, you have to adhere to all these
It's kind
different
of like an
requirements.
ISO certification.
Right, so we've been trying to get certified so that when people have that, and we can still be more transparent, but I mean, so that people understand that we're doing our best to be as transparent as possible, and so that's where we're at on that.
Good. Thank you.
And I think that's it for my report.
Excellent.
Okay, ad hoc committee, meeting of the local water companies.
So I guess I'll address that. So I chaired it last month, and we didn't get really far. We were mostly talking about just emergency questions about what we do in emergencies, and all of the agenda items that we had last month are actually I'm going to chair again. They're actually getting transferred over to this month. We're meeting a week later because of Thanksgiving, so we're going to meet on the 28th. I'm adding some more information on Cal Warren because a couple people went down to that conference, so they should be being able to fill us in a little bit more on Cal Warren, which they asked me to put on the agenda. And I think one of the biggest questions that came out of there that I hadn't actually talked to Johnny about yet was the whole idea of communication, what we do in the event of an emergency. I mean, we know that there's things set up so that if someone was dying or something, you can get through to different companies, but we're more concerned about water companies being able to talk to other water companies and maybe borrow something if we needed it, or just how we can help each other out in the event of a large emergency. And so we had some questions about, and I'm just going to say a couple of them and then we can talk further about it, but we had questions about our communication within here, our walkie-talkie system. I know we used to have a different system, now we have a less expensive system, but how far we think that can go, and then we were talking about repeaters and a lot of other stuff to try to be able to get signal.
Just so you know, our radios will work from here to Lebec office,
That's great.
but it will not more than likely go to Pinyon Pines, and certainly won't go to Pine Mountain, because I've talked on the radio from Flying J to the office to test that. So we got that.
Okay, so that was one of the questions was, can we test some of those things?
I still think it's as simple as they're expensive, but if you only use them for an extreme emergency, if every water company had a satellite phone, that's what's going to work in the case of an extreme emergency. Radios could not work because of the hillsides. Cell phones won't work. Office phones won't work. And I know that a lot of companies, they'll just take the sat phone, leave it locked in the safe.
Yeah,
With
we
fresh
talked a little bit
fresh
about
batteries, and then if you have to, you can use it because you're not going to care about the cost.
Right.
At that
Yeah,
point.
that's emergency status, absolutely.
that. Right, so we're gonna talk some more about that next month, and I think we were trying to come up with something that would work for kind of everyone up here on the hill, including somehow being able to communicate with Pine Mountain Club. So that's really, I think, were you there at the? I don't remember getting much further than that. I mean, we spent a good deal of time on being, Bill had a lot of things where he was talking, people were talking about CB radio and all kinds of stuff. So, we
do
just
ham
did a lot
radios
of,
and stuff. Ham
yeah.
radios are good.
but then Bill was cluing us in on repeaters and all kinds of stuff
That's
with that.
very that's
and
very
licenses
costly stuff.
and all kinds of things. So
Well,
anyway,
satellite
so
phones are the cutting edge now.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna have that stuff on the agenda again, and we're gonna be talking about it again.
Plus the satellite phones, you can call Sacramento, emergency people. You can call wherever you need to get help. And a ham radio, you're gonna not do it as easy.
Well, yeah, because it's from station to station to station.
I mean, you could eventually get the message across, but you're not going to talk to our state regulator or somebody that you need help with, and that's number one in an emergency.
And then we also talked about, and you might know something about this, the phone bite,
Oh yeah,
the reverse 911 calling.
yeah, I've heard Pam talk about that.
Um,
Ann LeBeck uses it too.
Yeah, okay.
And I love the idea because if, like the boil notice we issued, we had to issue the boil notice for precautionary reasons when we had to shut the water down in the
right.
lower part of town. That reverse 911, you could program it to call certain areas,
Right.
and it's real. Pam says it's very cheap,
It's
Yes.
per call. So
It's like 5 cents per phone.
and it really would help a lot to get the word out in any kind of situation.
So that was another thing we talked about there. I think probably what we need to do is discuss a little bit more, and then I think I need to bring that. I think it needs to be on the agenda as an actual agenda item, so that we can motion to either buy, to buy whatever items we think.
So like emergency preparedness on the agenda or something.
December still, or maybe further down the road?
I think the sooner that we all have that kind of stuff in place, and we talked a little bit about fire, about what happens, and I had talked to Johnny about this some, and I want to be able to talk about that too, but it's not on the agenda right now. So I think either having food, we rotate, having a place where we ask the people of Fraser Park if they can get out to go to. So I talked to the fire department about, what about the park? Is that the smartest place to have people go? Obviously not everybody's gonna be able to go there, but are there some staging areas where we could have stuff, so if there is an emergency, and what can we do as a company to make sure that our employees are able to function? Can we, have enough provisions that people could sleep here if they needed to? So I want to be able to bring up all that kind of stuff.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like an emergency kind of.
really, we're the only government agency entity on the mountain
You're right.
up here, so it kind of would fall on us if people couldn't get up the mountain for earthquake reasons or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It would
Isn't
fall
there
on
an
us.
earthquake preparedness group in Pine Mountain Club?
I don't know.
No, it's called CERT, and you've been working with CERT
Yeah,
here.
I've been talking to him, and we need to still coordinate a plan with them. And,
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe we can have CERT come in next month and just kind of and get that on the agenda so we can actually talk about it.
You want to okay, look into cert?
he's easy to find too. He's
Yes.
always walking his dog.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Who is it?
And we need to be able to talk about.
He's just
I forget his name, but
his name is Dave, and he lives right up on Pine.
The guy
We
you
need-
sold your car to, right?
Yes. I know you
No.
You can go first.
I was gonna say, we need to be able to talk about a number of things, because if we did have something, we'd probably need to put another, C-train out in the yard and be able to fill it, make sure that we're dating things, rotating things, you know, maybe if we, you know, rotate water, what we would do with it, would it get donated to the community, however, you know, so there's like lots of little parts to
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
And it might take months for us
My
to
recommendation
do it.
was pallets of water. They last for, you know, X amount of time, considerable amount of time, and then before they expired, you could donate them to like the sports teams or something. And it's not that costly to have, you know, bottled water to hand out in an emergency. But I like all that, by the way. I like.
Yeah, I mean, as far as food, there's this other C-train over here that's from the community, that they have like a whole C-train full of beans and rice, and you know, that comes from commodities that they store, and that they have access to.
As long as there's a set amount, minimum amount in there at all times, because if something happened and it happened to be at the time just before they got another truckload in.
See, the thing is that they keep it pretty much rotated. They don't. It's in there. That's only for like if somebody's in the community having a tough time. They go to the resource center. They refer them to. I don't know the guy's name. I think it's Shody, and he'll go over there and give out food and stuff.
That's great, but anyway, so we definitely need it on the agenda, because I have some ideas about
And I also know that there's
sustaining our
a
employees too.
C-train up at Cuddy Valley at the center up there.
Cuddy Hall.
At Cuddy Hall, that has emergency stuff in it. I don't know exactly what all, but I could find out. So
Well,
Wouldn't that be for Lake of the Woods residents?
I don't know. No,
Yeah.
well, no. I know that. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I do know that that when I was working at the one thrift store, we took a bunch of dog crates and animal stuff up there. So if people needed to evacuate for fires, that we would have some emergency stuff there so that
When you're saying we, who were you involved with at that time?
some people from Red Cross.
Okay, it was a Red Cross function?
Yeah. And
Who
so
heads that up?
I don't know
Locally, I'm talking about.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I have to.
We need to have
But that's what
points
I'm
of
saying.
contact.
I've got to find that out. But
Mhm.
but I do know that there's stuff up
Okay.
there. So
Point of order.
So that's just yes,
Real quick, similar to the PhoneVite,
yes.
our company Transaction Warehouse, who actually is the one who does our online payment system, they have a robocall system as well, and they are already tied into our RVS and our customer
tied to
phone
them.
directory. So what I can do is compare their charge per call with PhoneVite's, and just to see if they'd be comparable, since we're already tied into them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay.
And as far as the second thing on the agenda, the Sigma stuff, I didn't make it to the last. Oh, I did make it to the last meeting. They decided that they had like an emergency meeting. I didn't know about that, so I didn't make it to that meeting. But they're meeting quarterly or every 3 months
Yeah, something like that.
That's
yeah.
quarterly.
or every
Quarterly.
4 months. Yeah,
That would be
it might be
three.
every 4 months.
Okay.
So I know that the next meeting, my phone's dead right now, but I'm charging it. But I believe it's in February.
Okay.
Okay. Financial accounts payable and financial information. Linda.
Alrighty. Okay. Our total cash balance is 1,281,431.82. Our operating account as of October 31, 186,964.98.
Okay, I had a question. Because I was looking at the statement, and the statement says on the October 31st statement says 188,578.33, but your operating funds shows it less money.
It has to do with things being outstanding, checks being outstanding.
Okay.
So that's them. But if you look at the bank rec, you'll see that
Okay.
it all ties in.
Okay.
All right. You know, he had talked about going to other banks, trying to get different, better interest rates and stuff. Well, I was looking at some of our checking accounts, we do get interest on, but a couple of them we don't. And so, and I was looking at trying to figure out why. And it has to do with the Maximizer Plus. Some are
No,
Maximizer Plus and some are just regular checking. Is there a way to change those that are just regular checking to the Maximizer Plus? Or maybe they don't even offer it anymore. But that was an idea I was thinking about.
I don't know what any of
No,
that
they,
is.
they do offer it. I did it only, I think we did it, I think we went in together the last time and did it. But when I was treasurer, I believe Director Nyman went in with me, but we, because we always go two people, but I had them do just, like on the new accounts, just the accounts that are accumulating money and not possibly going to zero or not going up and down all the time, because it's somewhat problematic, because I think they want a steadier amount of money in there.
Mhm.
But I don't know, it's something we could talk to them about, but I did, it's only right now on our accounts that, so it's on any of the accounts that are just collecting money that we don't touch, like the reserve fund, the
Yeah, like the
capital.
emergency reserve, it's a regular check-in, so I was thinking.
So that's a brand new one, and that was actually supposed to be, that's not
Okay.
supposed to be, that's supposed to be the
Okay. So I'm
money
thinking,
market.
it's not a lot of money, but everybody.
No, but it's
yeah.
it's a safe money market, and
Right.
that's what we were really concerned about. We didn't want to go to a money market where we had a possible loss of principal or anything,
Exactly.
but we did ask for like the safe money market, and it should be on the emergency. In fact, I thought we put it on the emergency, so I'm not sure. That's a really new one, and so I think they just messed up.
Okay, so I just want to bring that up.
So we should go in again
And then also,
Fix
I
that.
did the annual report, you know, regarding the USDA loans, already submitted that, and, Brahma's already set those up for the
Okay.
monthly payments.
What I did was I just set it up for this month. I
Okay.
kind of want to wait until we get the confirmation from the USDA.
That won't come until January.
Okay, so I'll end up doing it next month again, and then in January we can go over it just to make sure that we're right, and then I'll set it up for the rest
So I
of the
went-
year.
And I remember I was telling you about that, but then I went back and looked at my notes after you left, and I saw that last year I had anticipated it based on the interest rates, because I know what the principal is, I know what the interest rates are, so I was able to figure it out, and I was right on last year, so I'm pretty sure that this is right on this year. But until I get what happens when they send us the 1099 for 2018,
Right.
that 1099 has what the new payments will be
Right.
on that document. That's why I
Right.
said we won't
So
get
like
it
I,
till
like I
late
said,
January.
I'll put in the next ones for next month,
Okay.
and I put it in for this month, and then in January when we get that information, me and you can get together, and then I'll do it for the rest of the year.
Sounds perfect, yeah.
And what we've done in the past, if we one time we calculated it wrong, and we were
Right.
so all we did is, I mean, it shouldn't be
Just do
under,
a
it should be
one-time,
over, but
right.
we did a one-time
and
transfer
then
to
do the
make
rest
up,
for the
because
rest of
as
the
long as we're
payment.
putting the, I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it's
trying to
pretty
follow
I
simple.
mean,
what the
we're being
USDA is
diligent
requesting,
putting
yeah.
it in every month.
Yeah.
And I also did a recap, so if you look at the report I gave you, 2018, in the reserve accounts for loan 3 and loan 4, which is all part of
yellow.
the calculation from the worksheets.
If you pull up the yellow, I just found it and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, for loan 3, our required reserve is supposed to be $19,791.65. For loan 4, the required reserve is $51,669.68. So the total of those two, because both those loan reserves are placed in the same reserve account, so the
Right.
total required is, so we've met that requirement. So we're fine there, and it's because we've met those requirements, monies are going into the replacement fund. And so that's what you see in the next column, which is not, the replacement fund holds replacement funds for all 3 loans. So now go to loan 6. Loan 6, we still need to put more money into the reserve account. Now, loan 6 is now at a point where every year the principal payments are increasing every month. They're increasing by $1,000 a month, and I think in 3 years it increases by $2,000 a month. So that's why the monthly payment's a little higher this time than before, and also why it's taking a little longer to reach the reserve requirement. Once we reach that reserve requirement, we'll no longer have to do the reserve amount. It will go into the replacement account.
Yeah. And
Which is the capital replacement reserve? Is that the one?
No, this is just for the reserves for on the USDA reserves, which were required.
Yeah, on our
Right, but on our which is
it's the one that says USDA. So there's USDA Reserve Loan 1
right.
and USDA Reserve Loan 2. Loan 1 is actually 2 different loans. It's actually 3 and 4.
Okay.
But they because we had to take out an additional loan after we didn't get enough money from the grant to pay for everything, so we ended up
So
having
the
to scramble.
71,000 we've met the
So we don't have
to put anything. So everything's going into the replacement fund now.
That's
right,
correct.
because they only required a certain amount in the reserve and then it rolls over. But our
Okay.
second loan was totally different. They required us, because we already had one loan, to start putting into the replacement fund immediately, which on the first one we didn't have to start putting
Right.
into the replacement fund right away. We put in after we met after 10 years actually. So yeah.
But,
so now
but all
we're
3 of these loans go into the one
the
replacement,
same lumped.
the same lump replacement fund.
Right, and that's why you'll see on the column, you'll see all 3, and then the total down below for all
Right.
3,
Okay.
and it's showing that the required amount for all 3 is 88,600.76. We're at 99,230.89,
Right.
so we are in compliance.
Okay. That's good.
And below are the new rates for the year, which, unless there's, it shows on the report I get in January that it's changed, that's what we'll do until then.
And so in reality, even if we were a little under right now, we'd be okay because we're actually over the amount
Correct.
that
Right.
required.
And all the bills, the bank card, the invoice didn't come in, but I went online and I saw that it closed online on both of them on November 5th. So I printed that out and I reconciled it based on that printout because it lets me know what the last statement was, how much the last statement was for, and the transactions that were in that statement. So I was still able to cut the checks.
So we can just mail those.
We can mail it, or the thing is, we don't have the envelopes, we don't have a payment card, so that could, next time somebody goes to the bank and makes a deposit, they can make that payment.
I can take it over Monday,
So,
Okay.
unless you were gonna go there anyway.
I mean, I can go there. It doesn't matter.
Perfect.
I can take it tonight. It's fine. I'll take it over tomorrow.
So I had another small item for the agenda, which might end up being more than I want it to be, but I have some issues now that our rates have increased because of Prop 218 with how much we charge for our late fee.
That's on the agenda.
It is
tonight.
on the agenda already? Oh, tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well. I knew I would have said it, but I didn't think it got on there. Okay.
and then there was one other thing I wanted to bring to, one of the membership dues, I think it was up $700 from last year. I made a note on the actual,
Yeah, that was the
Back.
ACWA.
right.
They charged that. Because I had a question. So we provide them with operating and maintenance costs? Do we provide them? Because I was reading the letter and it was talking something about our being charged dues.
Well, that's what they base their dues on, is their operating costs.
Right, but it was saying something about us providing them information. Do we provide them any kind of information?
There's so many different reports we get.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they periodically, I mean, we could call them and ask them what information they got, but.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because it was saying something that
They could lower.
they could make it higher
Oh, higher.
if it's like 25%, or if they don't get this information. I was reading the letter in here.
Well, we give so many different agencies, the
Yeah, pull it
water
out so I can see it.
agencies.
Yeah.
Feel like it. Check it out.
Look at the bills. Did someone else look at the bill? Woke up this morning.
I couldn't get warm, all guys through the house all day with the heat.
The second
on. I could
page,
not warm
not
up.
the. And so we didn't have the, so we didn't get the bill for JPIA, is that why you just cut that?
Correct. And I looked at the 2 months for that same amount, so,
Okay,
so I know that comes every,
the amount, and then send it out?
right.
Okay.
Did you have any questions? Since you looked at the bills,
Mhm.
did you have any questions?
No. I asked them when I was looking at them.
Yeah, I'll contact these guys just to make sure.
Yeah, I just was,
Initiated this new thing this
okay.
year. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, so we didn't.
I know we're sending information out all the time
To
to the
everybody.
different
Did
agencies,
you
so
check all the?
seems like there's
Yes,
more
I did.
reports we're having to send out now
This
than
is wrong.
before on our financials, so.
There's none set.
Oh, I missed that.
And the reports are longer and longer every time.
Yeah.
What is Lebec's,
Zip code.
zip code, cause you don't have it here on the check?
93243.
93243,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Do you wanna go through them?
No, because they both looked. I'm just like doing
Okay.
another double
Well, I was
Okay.
just wondering if I could hear a motion on paying the bill?
I make a motion that we pay our bills. Oh, one other thing, Linda, we need to, I need to get with you for the telemetry, because you have all that information, and so,
On the upgrade.
on the upgrade. So we only spent $12,000, that's the total?
Right, and I had given that to Johnny a few weeks ago and asked
Okay.
him if I've received everything, and
Well, you
he.
gave me the dollar amount, but they need it put together in a cohesive package with the receipts, the amounts, all that stuff, so they can actually see it and track it according to that instead of just a
Oh,
dollar
okay,
amount.
okay.
Transfers from the, from which account is it? It's the capital replacement reserve?
Right, that's what we've spent so far.
Okay, so,
No, for the telemetry, it's
Yeah.
not from capital replacement.
That's what I'm saying,
It's from our USDA replacement.
okay, the one that has 99,000 in it.
I don't
Yeah.
know what it has. in
Well,
it.
that's what it says.
Yeah.
The
But
US
yeah, the it's because we got permission from the USDA to pull that money out to cover the telemetry. Yeah,
Okay.
the one that has
So,
99,000.
so I need to pull that money and put it into our operating
into our
fund.
operating.
And then I'll just use these
And
dates and
it
just
should
put that in there?
it should be done as separate transactions so that we can follow the transaction. So you don't just put the one transaction.
No,
you
I'll put 1, 2,
each
3,
one,
4,
yeah.
5, 6 transactions, which
Right.
totals the 12,000.
Right.
Okay,
And then just make note. I mean, I can do it here. Just make notes on it. That
yeah,
of
I'll
what
come
each
in and,
thing
I'll
is.
come in and do that, that's fine. Because I'm gonna need to put in the transfers. I'll come in on Monday and do that. Okay, that's all I have. Make sure I'm clear.
Number 9.
Okay, unfinished
Okay,
business.
so here's these
Oh,
are the
discussion and vote on
separated
district's
over
easement on lot 27, block 2, track 5.
Yeah, that's the one that, without spending a huge amount of money, I don't see how we could reroute that pipe at all. Nor do I feel like we need to.
Is that the guy that came to the meeting?
Yeah, the easement was entered into in good faith with the owner of the company. I mean, the owner of the property at the time. They sold us the easement. We got the easement. It's been in the ground for God knows how many years. And just because on a whim he realized it's there, don't mean that we should move it. It would cost us too much money trying to get the engineer to engineer it and do all that kind of work. So
We don't do the expense.
until something else comes up with it, we just move on to
Yep.
that topic.
Table it.
Table it till.
Yeah, I'm okay with tabling it until it comes up again, and then we'll figure it out.
I second it.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Increase scheduled for January 2019.
I would like to just pass on some information just so I don't shoot the messenger.
Okay.
I just want to say again, the guy who wrote the study, when I talked to him again the other day, he wanted to try to be here tonight, but he couldn't. He said he couldn't be here until December, which at that time would be too late. He wanted to come and show you that if you changed any of the rates and fees, that it would have a direct effect to ourselves again what we did before. Then when I was talking to the auditors, he had on his own accord had commented on how well the rate increase was working and helping. So that's just, I wanted to pass on what they said. So now it's up to you guys.
Terry.
Director Schoenberg.
Thank you.
No, I saw it. I was
So-
trying to.
So I have a couple comments of my thoughts. You guys know I have issues because we were so pressed for time, and I'm the one that worked. Me and Director Nyman worked with the gentleman who did the Prop 218. I still have some issues because of things that we've never been able to figure out because of years and years and years ago that the stuff occurred. I think, we still have an ad hoc that we haven't been able to go through all of the, I know that Johnny has removed some of the things that we, my brain's not working, I'm so sorry you guys, some of the things that we consider as assets, but there's another word for it, but assets. So basically we need to go back through that list. That's one whole issue. So I have my reservations about how accurate the numbers are. That's one thing. However, I think that we fully anticipated the project moving forward much faster than it is, and that was my biggest concern, was because I felt like we needed to reassess once that project came into play, because I figured that it would greatly help having increased users,
Revenue.
that we would be able to spread we would be able to lower rates based on a greater number of users, so that we would actually be able to spread the joy to extra people, which would hopefully lower the rates in Fraser Park. Not happening right now. So my reservations on it, I can't even deal with right now. That, without having that additional base of users, that we're not going to be able to pay for a lot of the repairs that we need to pay for. So, I'm not happy with the increase. I think it's a hardship on people, and I'm not happy with the late fees, which I brought up, which are on the thing. However, I realize that it's a necessity right now until something changes, and so I guess reluctantly, my take would be that we go forward one more year to see whether this project's really going to come to fruition or not, because I hope that in a year we have an idea of whether we're annexing or not. If we're not annexing, I think we need to do another. I think in the meantime we really need to get together and take another good look at those numbers to make sure that our numbers were as accurate as possible, because we had almost zero time to come up with those numbers. And so I
But you
have
worked
some.
really hard on them.
I worked my butt off, but I still have some misgivings about it because I'm the one that came up with them, and I want to just double check my, I mean, it was like we were here for I don't even know how many days. It was ridiculous, but it was like we were crunched into this little period of time to come up with exactly.
Gather all the information.
We were trying to project this company over like 10 years in no time, and so we did the best we could. And that's why he says based on the numbers we gave him that we'll be in trouble if we change anything. I'm not positive of that, but I do know that we need additional money coming in, and I am concerned because I really wanted us to do another Prop 218 as soon as we had an idea about what was happening with the annexation. I don't have an idea about what's happening with the annexation right now, so I mean, we have some, but So my recommendation, just as your previous treasurer and as the person, think that we have to go forward one more year with the numbers that were supplied by he was an independent person from the state. He did the best he could based on us doing the best we could to provide him this projection. So I think we need to move forward on that, and I think I'm going to choose my fights, and my fight I'm going to choose for the moment is going to be the late fee, because that is probably what I can focus on, and the other stuff I can't. I'm afraid if we do put it off that we'll fall short.
Yeah.
I agree with Lisa with that. I think that another year, I think that if at the end of the year, one of the things John pointed out was that the state spent a huge amount of money on that rate study. And to change it, you're basically wasting the state's money because it's spent. But if next year and we decide that it's something that we really feel is important, that'll mean that it will be important enough to spend our own money on paying for a new rate study. By then we'll know if the annexation, what the likelihood of that is and everything, and then decide to do another rate study and see if it is in fact on par or not. But they're expensive. Remember, the quotes we were getting last time was $25,000.
Right. And I mean, the reason I wanted to wait for the annexation is that we would be able to do the rate study hopefully for no cost, or it would be rolled into costs we would be compensated for because of the annexation. I don't think that the annexation is going to happen in the next year. So I think, we're going to move forward and probably have this rate change. And I think we'll probably either the state will be really kind to us and do another rate study, or more likely we'll have to pay for one rate study in between. If we think that the numbers are significant enough that it changes anything. If Director Nyman and I go through it, if we can ever get to that, and feel like the numbers are fine, then I would say that we that it needs to just keep going forward until we annex, and then we can reconsider everything. But I just have some misgivings because of the time crunch, and that was why I voted no in the first place on it, is because I wasn't confident of. I wasn't as confident of the numbers as I'd like to have been.
And I can say that a wise man told me that I need to consider the company versus the patrons, I guess, because I got to keep the company solvent, not somebody's checkbook at home. That my duties as a board member is to.
Well,
I have to be.
That's why we're here, to keep this place running.
Yes,
If you don't believe in that, then you're not here for the right place.
You're right.
But it's both.
I have to learn that. I sometimes tend to look at my own checkbook and.
The tough choices are based on a business.
I have to say that I probably agree that we need to do year 3. I am concerned though about the cost for year 4 and 5, and that's something that we're really going to have to crunch on. I mean, we were expecting, part of it was put in place without the annexation, that we needed this rate increase. So it's something we have to do. The annexation is not going to happen for at least 2 years before we even get to compensation. And then, to construction. So once we get into construction, then we're gonna have to have another rate, study done. And that will incorporate all the users that come along with that. So, I mean, I'm gonna vote for the increase this year, but I'm gonna be really hard pressed next year, because just looking at the increase, especially for the per 1,000-gallon costs, you know, I mean, you know.
What?
And I know
Say
that
it.
I know
What does
there's
that
a lot
mean?
of
I don't know
people.
what you mean when you say that.
Well, that if you get into a base rate of $73, and then you get to year 5, it's $80, and it's $381.
We all know the numbers. We're the ones that passed it. We
I
put
know.
it together, so you're not.
I
You're
know
preaching to
that.
the choir here, brother.
No, I realize that, but there's a lot of people in this community that are on a fixed income, and it's very. I'm on a fixed income. A lot of other people are, and it's so difficult for
One
them.
thing I would like to point out, the auditor mentioned without even talking about the rate increase. He said, yeah, you guys got, you know, a little reserve right there. He said, but if you had a large section of mainline or something to fail, or a tank that fails, you're gonna have no money just for that one emergency.
Right.
That one thing could take all the money if we had to do it immediately, and we would hope to get some kind of grant funding to replace that. But although we're doing better now, that's why the AWWA set those standards, so there's enough to actually do something substantial if necessary. So
Director Schumberg.
Right, Doctor. No. And I just wanted to comment on your comment. I mean, yes, our job is to keep the company solvent, but our job is also that, you know, we have constituents, and our job is to like consider what the effect is on, you know, of keeping this company solvent, you know.
On the backs of.
Yeah, on the backs of people who can't afford it, and if everybody starts moving out of town because they can't afford it, you'll have even less users. You know, so there's this like balancing act that you always have to do, and I just, you know, I think that's important. And I was gonna say, oh, and the other thing is that my reasoning this year is that Prop 3 did not pass, and so who knows what's gonna happen with annexation. I mean, that just dried up a
Yeah.
source of money that we would have received for this
Right,
company.
because that was all for.
That was all for
rural communities.
communities who were disadvantaged. And so, I mean, it was for a lot of things, and I know the wording was scary, and that's why a lot of people didn't vote for it, because it wasn't limited. But I also know that probably took away our funding for some stuff. So that's why I'm a little more, I'm reticent, but I'm a little more willing to vote for it for this year and see what happens next year. And I do think we probably need to I think we'll need to do another Prop 2.
I just think we need to inform the community, and I know we tell them all the time, but I think the most important thing is to keep our company solvent and to keep it from government takeover.
Yeah, not to be
If the
taken
state,
over.
if the state takes it over, those checkbooks at home are going to be, you know,
A lot
shocked. Those
worse.
people that came to that meeting and said, like Isabel, that they're, you know, and you don't have a say once the government takes over. You're done. You know, too bad.
Well, I know some of those communities, they're paying $200 and $300 a month, so, you know, we don't want that to happen, for sure.
and you know there's no place cheaper to move to. You know, we're none of us feel comfortable paying that water bill, but I think it would behoove everybody, especially people that are very good at writing articles in the newspapers, start talking about our senators and our legislators. They could be passing something to help people with low incomes, subsidies and stuff for low income people, because they're the ones that say you have to be fiscally responsible in running your business. They're the ones that say, we'll give you a loan, but you have to charge this amount. They ought to be able to help out people that are on a fixed income, like all the other entities. They have the flat rates and all that stuff for electricity. So people need to start hammering our legislators and say, look, you guys need to do something to help out.
But I would like that on the agenda too, because I would like to hammer our legislators. I think our supervisor who just became our supervisor, but who got reelected, I think we need to be talking to him about some sort of subsidy or what we could do as a company, because we don't have the ability to pull that out of our money, but we do need to be able to subsidize people who are.
But you guys have already directed me to
SSI.
go talk to them people, and
Yeah.
I'm already going. You just
So-
had to wait till the election was over to.
Get to the right folks.
Get to the right guy, yeah.
Is it
You
okay
ready
if
now?
I ask for clarification? Are you talking about increasing the base rate?
Yes,
It's both, because when
base
we did
rate
the
and use and water.
I don't know,
You weren't here.
Is this here?
You're new to the area.
I'm sorry, is whatever.
the rate.
No, I'll make her a
No, I don't
copy.
have extras.
So what happened is we
Because I heard that comment a lot, and people say, I'm saving water like crazy, and here I'm still, have to pay for everybody else's use of the water meter. But I'm assuming.
See, that's a wrong,
I know.
That's
I
that's
just listen. But so the question I would have is, could that need for added funding not be absorbed by higher usage rates?
No, you can't do tearing. They,
we had
We
a
tried
tiered
that.
system, and we had to get rid of our tiered system because it's against the law.
there was a lawsuit for San
There
Juan
was a laws-
Capistrano. They said you can't do it because it's not fair whether you use however much water you use. It's not fair to charge more unless it costs more to provide.
Yeah, because it actually cost this company more to provide that extra water, so therefore we can't tier. If it cost us more to provide it, we could tier, but it got into this.
Rates, it was a vote on whether or not we were gonna not increase them because it's already been voted on. This is year 3. This is the set increases already that have been passed.
Yeah, we're just following the steps that
Just
were
following.
laid out
Okay.
at the time when we passed it.
I
The
was
5-year plan.
I was unhappy about us following our 3rd year of what they did in the 5-year plan. But because of all these factors going on, I think, we were talking about maybe holding off and even though they told us not to do that, just not increasing. But there's some real problems with that too, because we're not gonna get an extra revenue source from it.
well, and I think one of the things that bothers me a lot is, and I wasn't on the board at the time, was this was all sold to us as part of the annexation. And so the rate increases.
No,
In
that-
fact, we
that's not
just
true.
specifically did it before
Without
and
the
not including
annexation.
those numbers.
And every
We
single
based it on our data at the time and went back in the history of the water company to see how long it had been since there was an increase.
and every
So we
single
stand on our own because we said that if the
'Cause we didn't know if
annexation
it
does
didn't
not
go
go through, this plan still must keep Fraser Park Public Utility District afloat and functioning as a viable company.
Yeah, it was kind of the opposite, Terry. If the annexation had gone through already, we would have been able to do another 218. We would have
And
had possibly had a greater user base, possibly a larger base. So that hasn't happened.
No,
It's been.
saying we are not doing this
Based on
based
annexation.
on anything to do with the annexation.
Yeah, this is based on
And-
not getting
And the guy who
annexation.
did it, we still don't have any idea if that's gonna go through.
If and when, yeah.
And the other thing that this is based on is the fact that we might not get grants. And we might not be able to afford any more loans. We're probably not gonna be able to afford any more loans because we're already paying for multiple loans now. So so when something like Prop 3 doesn't pass, and that gave us the possibility, it didn't guarantee we were gonna get a grant, but it gave us the possibility of maybe getting some more money for a disadvantaged community. But that this took into consideration that we might not ever get another grant, and we're not gonna get the annexation. So he based the numbers on just what it would take for this company to survive without any of that stuff.
Because that's what I hear a lot.
Yeah, that's it, but people are mixed up about that. That was,
Well, and people expect the government, they think the government's gonna just step in and they're liable, Yes, we're gonna pursue grants that come up, but there's never any guarantees for grants. And just like she just said, the Prop 3, which was for our communities, just got voted down by the taxpayers. So we don't even know what funding we're gonna have for the annexation.
Plus, another thing for people to keep in mind is even if we get grants and say we replace part of the system, that's and alleviate the issues that we have with running the company and what it costs to run the company.
Exactly. We have even way more problems than that.
Yeah, there's
Buried in the ground that we don't even know yet.
guaranteed if we have $10 million right now, and we did $10 million worth of work, we would still have another 30 million or 40 million left to do. And by the time you get done with all of them,
You gotta start over.
you got to start with new, the stuff that's coming again. So that's what it's based on, not on anything else to do with the annexation or anything else, unfortunately.
Well, that's the really disappointing part, is even when you get a grant and get a loan and, you know, it doesn't go very far.
Okay, does
So
everybody?
now do I hear a motion on, are we going to increase rates?
So we're not really increasing rates, I think the motion, I'll make the
Following the-
motion, so I'll move, well, maybe I shouldn't because I voted against it.
Yeah,
but
I'll make the
somebody else should
motion.
make the motion.
Director Garcia.
Yes, I move that we follow the rate increase scheduled for January 2019 based on the last Prop 218 timeline and rates that were passed in that 218.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500.
Makes me want to throw up.
I with reluctance.
I think we all do with reluctance.
Hello, you got a question?
I just wanted, written into the Prop 218 is anytime a scheduled rate increase comes up, you have to give
Well, we're gonna have
a
to
minimum
pay-
of a 30-day notice. So we have to do a mailing in November.
I was just gonna
Outside of
say,
the 30 days,
can
let
somebody
people know.
direct Johnny to move on the
Well, it's
letter?
been approved, then he can do the mailing.
Yeah, I mean, we got to, it's in the Prop
It's in
218.
the
So-
Prop 218. yeah.
So we'll get that out. It's gonna require it quick, and there's a lot of them. It's not just 1,300 because we send them to everybody we got an address for.
Right.
So we'll probably do up the letter and then take it to the mailing place and have them knock it out and get it in the mail. Because we have to get it in enough time.
But it's better than it was, right? Because we got rid of some of the ad. I mean, we've been able to figure out some
We've
stuff.
knocked
about-
a bunch
yeah.
out, yeah. Yeah, we did tons of stuff out there, but still, you wanna get the tenant and you wanna get the owner.
Right.
If there's two separate ones, you can't just do the owner.
No, everybody's involved.
Yeah. And we'll also get word to Patrick at the Mountain Enterprise and,
And that wouldn't
Put it on
actually
the
take
website.
place until the January
yeah,
billing.
Right.
yeah, which actually goes into effect January, so I don't think it'll show up on bill till February.
February.
Right.
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 So.
But that's why I said that you need to jump on this.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yes.
I have a question, just curiosity, it's of no importance really. Do you have a general estimate of what the effect per household is, this increase is going to be?
Well, you're talking about
$10.
a $6 for the base rate, and then it depends upon your usage. You're going up like 30. What is it? 30,
I think we figured
30 31 cents
You're going up
per
10%.
1,000 gallons.
You're going
Yeah.
up 10% across the board.
Right.
The average too is about
It's like 65.
2,000. So I mean, it would be on the
It's
on
gonna
the
be hard to-
usage rate. The average would probably be about $6 as opposed to.
Well, it's gonna be hard to
For
figure.
service.
It's gonna be hard to figure out the usage itself, but if you just add 10% to whatever it is your bill is, you'll get a better idea. Because you would like to say the average bill. I could actually look it up here somewhere.
Oh,
but
you don't have
it's like $65
Yeah.
or $70 average bill right now,
It's
so
right-
that's
it's
gonna
at
go up
80.
10%.
Mine's
It's
mine's
80%
set.
now?
Mine's
80 is about average.
yeah.
And just so you know,
High and low.
there are a lot of
88.
people being hurt by this, but there's still a lot of people that are saying, yeah, it's only $100 water bill, and I'm gonna continue watering. I'm gonna water my grass and I'm gonna water my trees, so it kind of amazes me.
Like my
the
monthly bill
mentality.
right now is about $64, and so it's going to go up to about 70.
But you're
Got
not.
rid of all my plants pretty much, and so
Out
on.
of the dirt.
I was asking because Lake of the Woods at the last meeting just increased our rate, and I'm the one that pushed it.
I thought you decreased yours.
They had before, but
No, we decreased it after the water hauling business a year
Right.
ago. So for all of 2018, we gave them a $10 drop. But that was because we begged them for an increase for our water hauling. We said we wouldn't use it for anything else, and when it was paid off, we would drop back down. So we kept our promise. So this year is now gonna be over. In January, we're gonna raise our rates. by about half of that. So currently it's 60, it's a flat rate for everybody, so it's going to go from 65 to just under 69, which is.
And the guys are gonna change once you get all your meters in.
Yeah, when people
Yeah,
start.
well, we're not billing on meters yet because we don't have meters. And even after we have meters, not everybody's gonna have one like we had originally planned. Our grant was less than, and our costs increased during the long period of getting the things and all the usual stuff you guys go through.
So not everybody's gonna have a
That's
meter?
a problem.
That's news
Is
to
it
me.
news?
No,
First
not
I've heard of
everybody. In 2000, doing this now in phases. So in the first phase, we've chosen our leakiest section, and so we're going to repipe that. And while we're doing that, we're going to be putting the meters into those areas.
So how many meters out of 400 are you putting
I'm
in?
afraid I'm not sure, but we're looking at about half for right
Wow.
now.
See, that creates a problem
That's
because
huge.
when we agreed to
There you go. Our
annex,
con-
it
our-
was that there would
right,
be
our contract.
meters
We're not going to
place.
annex unless they have.
So
Well, like I said, we're doing this in
Tram,
phases, and in the first phase, we're going to do this part. In the meantime, we're on,
Ones that
there
were
is
3
money available,
signatures, right?
and that the USDA
Yeah.
is looking to give
Okay.
it
Yeah,
out.
they got 3 signatures.
well, the good thing is
And
we still have a
mine,
So
couple
we're
years.
volunteering
For a second
to see.
signature?
Yeah, yeah, we still have a couple years to
You get orders.
see how it all
Put
pans out.
crosswalk
But okay, we could
But we
Well, I
won't, the annexation is gonna be so far down the road by the
Okay, well,
time.
we
they'll
need
get-
to
they'll
discuss
get their
this
meters.
at a different time.
Okay,
Point of order.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for telling me. I know I'm going to be asked.
Okay. yeah, okay, discussion and vote on resolution FP 20181108-01, designation of applicant's agent, Cal Bose,
Oh, yes.
Form 130?
So this is the exact same thing we were requested to do a year ago, September of 2017.
Yeah, it was
And
07.
so last year, this office came and said, we need to tie up our loose ends of money we gave 10 years ago. And so you just need to go through and do these forms. So we went through that whole process last year. And we got an email again saying, I'm so sorry, we asked you to do this last year, but now we need to do it again because we didn't do it. Or I don't know what happened on the end
So
of
they just
office
dropped the
opening.
ball on their form
Yeah.
and need another form.
So
Yeah.
now we have to go through the process again to help them tie loose ends. So they asked us again to redo this form so that what it does is it gives authority to either the board president or the general manager to give them information about the league or about what they had paid us for that freeze back in 2000.
and it was apparently like $1,000 is what you guys requested to pay for the deductible for the insurance.
Right.
So that's what they're asking about. So they want us to do.
At
this
the
again.
bottom, shouldn't it say board of directors, not?
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Typo.
typewriter typo.
Okay,
So yeah, I'm gonna white it out and
okay.
get on the
Well,
typewriter.
I was just,
I just got that.
Oh,
So do you guys want to sign it?
Yeah.
Board member, general manager, want me to sign it?
This is, well,
Where
so-
what I'm looking at, it has Tiffany's.
Yeah, it's actually the preparer of the form.
the general
Yeah.
manager.
So I signed that the board agrees that these people are authorized agents.
Perfect.
Right, so you have to sign it, Terry, and Johnny has to sign
Now what
it.
she's saying,
So
no, what
Board
she's
of-
saying
It's
is
either signed by
he's
her.
gonna sign, she's gonna sign it.
She's gonna sign.
authorized
we're the
agent.
authorized agents.
The
So
board
it's-
president or the general manager, and we're giving Tiffany the
Authority,
authority to sign.
Okay.
Well, I'm verifying that this is the document you verified.
Yes.
It's really
She-
confusing because
she's-
you can't repeat any name on this form. So that's why Becky Brom and Lisa are on the bottom approving it, but it cannot be approved by the board president because they're self-endorsing. They have this whole thing, so no
Legalese.
name can be redone. So my signature has to be on the bottom because I'm not a board member or the general manager. So Yeah, it's just the way they make you fill this thing out.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what it's saying is this
And the last-
time that we're saying it's okay for them to make to pass on information or make a decision in the event of an emergency, and the people who are certifying that is Gibson and me. So we're not actually signing or doing anything, we're just certifying that the board president.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Discussion and vote on a list of rate fees.
Oh, well, rates and fees.
Rates and fees.
Is this the one you're talking about, the late fees?
Yes.
The late fees.
Okay. I was like, we just did that.
Yeah.
So Prop 218 says you can lower, we're totally allowed to lower the fees. You can never add or raise a fee. But
Oh,
I know Director Schoenberg is interested in just looking over some of the fees to see if we want to reduce them.
Particularly, I don't think it's the other fees, but let me look at the other fees. But the one that I'm concerned about is the late fee, and only because when it was 10% of $40, that was not, but now it keeps climbing. So now it's 10% of like $80.
$80.
Still less than 10.
I know, but it seems like it's like even more. I don't know.
My
I
thought
have some issues with it. I think it's pretty high for a late fee. If you look at other companies and the late fees they charge, we're pretty high.
my thought on
Except
this,
for banks.
whether for or against it, but my thought on this is this: the late fee as well as the posting fee is, for one thing, a huge deterrent to not be late and to not get that notice. Because if you remember back before we charged what we do for posting a 48-hour notice, everybody used it as a reminder to pay their bill when we charged nothing. So we would have to pass out 150 48-hour notices. The late fees also, for me for one, I realized, oh shit, I'm gonna get another late fee. That's 2 months in a row I got a late fee. So for the last 2 months, I make a point of paying it before I get that late fee. So it's kind of a
Absolutely.
deterrent for me to not put it off.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, because it's a waste of manpower to be out posting.
You don't have to
Notices,
post because of the late
no,
fee.
not because of late fees.
The
No.
late fee's not the posting
Yeah.
fee.
But the posting is the posting. And
The
that's
posting
it.
is-
I
That's
don't
still
think the
48-hour
posting
notice.
fee should go down.
No, the posting fee should
I think
stay
if
the
you're
same.
waiting that long to pay your bill, then yeah, I think you need to be
Yeah.
encouraged not to wait that long. I just feel like
What is the posting fee?
25.
$25
Yeah.
for a 48-hour notice.
Yep.
And then once they shut it off, it's gonna cost you $100 to turn it back on.
So-
I don't think 10% is that high.
Wait, what is
I
it
don't know.
normally for, like, say the credit card company or the electric company or
Yeah.
gas company? I don't know
That's
what it is.
electric or gas, I think it's like 3 or 4%. It's not 10. It's not.
I wish
Now,
was still here.
is that, I don't know, I don't pay mine late, but,
I don't pay mine late, but I would say,
It's higher than.
$10.
Like I noticed
Well, I
it.
know that-
I noticed it because like I hardly ever pay mine late. I pay it on time, but I had a bank mistake. Like they paid it late. They didn't send the check when they were supposed to. Now they reimbursed me
yeah.
because we wouldn't take the late fee off, which I understand. So, but it was still. I was like, wow, that's kind of a hefty late fee compared to if I had a late fee.
But
on
it's
some of my
4%
other
of
bills.
what amount
oh,
that you're late with.
no, well, it's whatever your bill
a
is.
larger
So if your
amount,
bill
so-
is $80 or $100, it's.
Yeah.
So it's like a larger bill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 4% is understandable. If we have-
I'm thinking like 5%. I wouldn't. I mean, I could see us cutting it in half. but
I'm okay with 5%. I just think 10%. 10% I've always thought is a kind of hefty for a late fee, but I'm more concerned because now it keeps going up. So now we just said okay, we're gonna allow it to go up to what it's supposed to go up to for this year, which probably means most people's bills are gonna be in the area of $80 or $90, and that's if you don't use a lot of water.
No, that's wrong.
It is
It'll
wrong.
be 75 to 80,
Yeah.
not 90.
And the late fee for AT&T is $9.25,
Yeah.
and our average late fee is around $6.95. or
AT&T
something.
is one of the high ones. So
So-
can you look at the
Yeah, I'm trying.
gas or electric?
Yeah.
AT&T is not my favorite.
Well, I have to confess, I had to pay a late fee once, and I made myself go on auto pay. I didn't want to pay that late fee again.
Right?
There you go.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really okay with changing any of the other fees. I think that's the only fee.
No,
that
I
have
think
an
all the
issue
other
with.
fees should remain the same. I mean,
Well,
there's-
and I can say that I know of somebody who pays their bill late and
On purpose.
on purpose, and they do pay their late fee, and
Keep going.
it's not a deterrent at all, because the next month is like they pay it late again, and I'm like, and she complains to me about needing to pay the late fee, and I'm like, well, why
don't see
can't
it
you
on the
get it
bill.
in there before the 20th? I mean,
I pay my bills the first week of the month, so
Because we
this
want.
is because that's when the check comes.
so if I have to,
Get
if
rid
I have
of
to
it all?
pay it ahead, I pay it ahead.
well, that's what I'm saying. That's what.
Yeah.
You just
there's
have to
no- yeah.
budget your stuff.
Why do you want to wait till the 15th? Because it's late on the 20th. Pay it the 1st, or the 2nd, or 3rd.
And
Whenever
it's
I
not
have
like
money,
you
I
have
pay
to
it.
send it in. I mean, they come here and they pay it, so it's. But
Okay, so I'm wrong. They're 8%. 0.8% will be applied to the total unpaid balance.
Wow.
Well, we don't want to get late with them.
Who is it?
8%,
This is
2,000.
Edison.
Edison.
Edison's 8%. I don't know what the gas company
I
is.
better
And,
go home and pay my
and
bill.
your electric's a big bill,
yeah,
so.
that's 8%.
Oh, I was just trying to
Rustle
be
up the
nice
bill.
somewhere.
It's the gas, but I don't know.
Oh, the gas bill is only like, what, $20 or
Yeah,
10
No, in
Well,
the winter,
in the
my
winter
gas
it can-
bill's high as it can be. Are you
Really?
kidding
Well, I
me?
guess I'm just coming out of the summer, so yeah.
My winter, I mean, if it's a bad winter, my highest bill is like $70 or $80.
Well, mine's a couple hundred.
Depends on how much insulation you have in your
I
house.
don't.
You've been working on that this
But
summer,
I've
so
been
you're
working
gonna
on
be
mine.
good, all right?
A year ago, Lake of the Woods had 3 pages of delinquents.
Okay, so
in our
can I
last board
move?
meeting, we were at just over a half a page,
I was just
and
trying
that
to
was
see what-
very much because we put in this late fee policy and began to enforce it. Because we felt that if we treat everybody the same, it's the only fair way to.
Yeah, exactly.
And within 3 months, the difference was remarkable.
That's why Lisa had to be here, because they're heartless at the water company.
Who?
Lisa had to pay her late fee here because I didn't wait.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So,
You want to make a
But that
motion?
one wasn't
Yes,
my fault. So the
absolutely.
bank
Okay.
paid me.
Drag it on
They
here.
should have.
Yeah, I
can't
yelled at
find
him.
it on here.
I
Director
moved,
Garcia.
yes, I move that we pass the list of rates as published and
We
scheduled.
don't need to pass anything. It's
If
already
nothing's
passed.
changed.
Oh, it's right here.
I'm trying to.
7%.
So there's 7% at the gas company.
7 and 8%. So
I don't know. I'd like to see it at 5%. But if you guys don't want to do that, then that's fine.
I mean, I think 5%. You're giving something back because you figure some people may be late because
They can't pay it.
they can't
the
pay
bill's
it.
higher.
Just so you know, every aspect of this was taken into account.
Right,
For the
water's
Prop
life,
218.
dude. You gotta pay your water bill.
If you're changing it, you're changing part of the rate study. Even though, and it's not really gonna help. I mean, taking a dollar off of the late fee
or
is
$2
only going to
isn't
be
enough.
And it's messing with the numbers that we built this
It's
whole
not really going to help anybody.
218 on.
A dollar ain't
Conversely,
gonna
it's not really going to hurt that much.
Well, that's true. I suppose it wouldn't really hurt either. But is anybody going to be happy about it?
Well, remember, the point is
Only
that
those
they
that pay
pay
it.
on time.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the point. You know, if you do that, then the whole rate fee business goes out the window. And it takes a lot of pressure off your staff.
And Johnny already has the, I won't say, what's the word I'm looking for? You have the right to waive late fees, right?
The only way I could
That we don't-
the only way I could waive a late fee right now is if there's no history of a late fee, and like if somebody was sick in the hospital or something like that, it's a
Some
one-time deal,
extenuating, yeah.
I could do that. Or if it obviously wasn't, if it was a clerical error or something to that effect. But that's why I brought up the last meeting, if there was a certain way that I could be allowed to waive some of the fees. But then I quickly realized I didn't put it on the agenda because I realized that the only way you guys would feel comfortable with approving any of that is to flog it to death with examples and scenarios, and I don't think we could cover them all efficiently to have a SOP for that. So
Well, the
I just
prob-
decided not to put it on there.
Yeah, because the problem is that when you start letting this person, then it becomes an issue, and you open yourself up for a lot of heartache.
Which is my saving grace right now, because when I stick with the policy,
That's it.
I'm good.
Takes it off of you.
It's kind of hard sometimes because you know that there should be some leeway in a certain circumstance, but it also takes it off of my shoulders because it's your guys' policy. I follow policy, so it works out good.
So what are your thoughts on? Are your thoughts on leaving it as is? Rebecca?
We approved it on September 13th this year.
Okay. Lisa?
She's using her calculator.
We reviewed this list on a meeting on
Because
September
even on a-
13th, 2018, and we approved it.
Because like you
Is
said,
So we don't need to, there's a motion on the floor, but we don't need to do a motion, right?
There's no.
It says discussion vote on list of rates
No.
and fees,
I thought
but we've
Jerry
already
started
approved it on September.
Well,
He
he
started the
can't,
motion.
his
We
motion's
don't-
out of order because it doesn't apply, because the only way we'd need a motion is if we were going to change it. We
Oh,
aren't changing it
So we leave it alone then. Just move forward.
unless I make a motion
Okay.
to change it.
Number
So
13.
see,
Guys,
Moving
I'm
along.
sorry, I have to go, but I do thank
That's
you
okay.
all. This,
Thank you.
See you later.
Have a good night.
Did you have fun?
Yeah. I'm gonna call you about a couple of details.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
absolutely.
gonna
Or
write
come
it
by
down.
any day, Monday through Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, see you later.
okay, discussion and vote on the bylaws and rules and regulations.
Oh, they're only on there if we were gonna change the rates and fees,
Oh, okay.
Good.
because then I just have to.
Because
flip
then
it
we'd
into
have
to-
bylaw.
then we'd
If
have to
Nothing's
do-
gonna change, we don't need to
Okay.
deal with bylaws.
Okay. Vote and discussion on districts identification cards and quote for ID printer.
Okay, this is something that I've been bringing up since I've been here, really. Every other public utility that goes into people's property or houses has an identification card.
Little badge you're talking about, something you
Yeah.
wear on your shirt?
Yeah, or something at least you could have, if somebody asks you, you could prove that you're a legitimate employee of the company. And then Tiffany recently found out that it's a legal requirement, right?
No, not a legal requirement, it was just,
Strongly suggested.
it was suggested, it's also in looking into emergency situations.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody's off the hill or out of the area, or even in Lebec, and there's an emergency and we need to get from there to here, it's a way to show that, okay, I work for the water company, I'm needed for the emergency situation. It'll help get through.
Right, like if somebody's off the hill, they have their ID with them, and then
Or some
At
natural
least
thing
it
happens.
couldn't hurt.
A fire happens, they block the road, but the board,
Would that be for the board or just the employees?
I think everybody should
That's
be
up to
included in that, because if something bad's happening,
Yeah.
we need you guys here to be able to make some decisions while we're out in the material, and then we never have to pay for it again. Or we try to go through some type of an internet deal, which really doesn't prove
An
who,
online ID.
who you are. Anybody could do that, and I don't know how good the IDs are, so.
And those run between $10 to $15 per ID, depending on how many you order.
So you'd have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you'd have 11 IDs right off the bat.
With the state under that you wore around your neck, so you're always holding, so you're not always dragging, grabbing for your pocket or your wallet or my purse or whatever. Especially in certain emergency situations, you want quick move. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, go. And I think that was very useful, and it was very
I agree.
seamless.
I agree. I think that's the best way to do it.
Director Schauber.
does that printer laminate, or it's only a printer?
I think it prints like a driver's license. It prints, embeds it in the card itself. if we decided that we wanted it laminated after the fact, you know, we could laminate them, but I think that there's
So it's a plastic
plastic
printer.
card,
Okay.
and it prints on the card itself like a driver's license. So, and you could put your
And-
seal, the company seal, and whatever.
So you
kind
can put something in there that
Yeah.
someone else is not going to be able to easily
Yeah.
duplicate.
yeah. And we just know that they're roughly around $500. We'd have to research which
To do our
best
to buy a printer.
to buy our printer and the cards and stuff and get that set up. So
And the price, sorry,
Go ahead.
Jen. The price changes. If you want that thick plastic, like a credit card, it's more expensive. If you want to get a cardstock and laminate it, you're talking a lot less cost. You can probably do it with Avery, inserts into the printer. So it just depends, that's why I wanted
Maybe you
to
get some
Jen
options
to
for
talk
us then.
about.
it's good. I would personally vote for whether we buy the machine or we get it done somewhere. I'm pushing for the more hard plastic type like the state had. It's going to stand up to things and look very professional. Whichever way we get those, that's the kind that I would like to get. Because just a laminated card, I'm a printer. I did typesetting for 10 years. I could go on the computer and I could create anything you wanted to say and laminate it and say, hey, here you go. Well, that don't really prove nothing. You need something that's got some kind of security features in it.
Yeah,
holograms
it can't
and
be
stuff like
duplicated,
that.
yeah.
You need something that's good.
Have we looked to see if there's if there's a company that does that and that verifies that you're actually someone from the company and all that? Because there must be,
Right.
because a bigger company would obviously have a printer, but a smaller company must use, other water companies or whatever, or other small utilities, whatever.
Yeah, well, if you guys are interested, some options for you.
Yeah.
For the
I-
next,
Information.
for the next
I
board meeting that's
absolutely-
not swamped.
Yeah,
I absolutely
that
think
next
we
week.
need
I
it
think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, if
in one way or
you can
another.
carry it to December. December is
Yeah.
insane right now. I'm just going.
Yeah, we might put it on January. So I'd like to see at the end of this
December's
meeting
fine.
if we could move some of the Decembers to
5
January.
plus on top of what I.
But that's quick. We just
That
need
one is,
prices.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add it because I think the sooner we have it, the better. Because especially once it starts snowing, because I was last year and it didn't even snow that hard. I was down in the back. I dropped someone off for work, and I was not allowed to come back up here until the snow melted. Even though I had
That's because everybody's been complaining about the snow bunnies. So now they're like, okay, snow
they
bunny.
were crazy. I said
It
I
went all the
showed.
way the other.
I had a permit. I had the permit you buy. I had stuff that showed I worked here. It wasn't like a little official card or anything. I had chains in my trunk. After I got the chains, I didn't have chains. Then I had someone take me to get chains, and they still didn't let me through.
Does your license have Fraser Park address?
Yeah.
P.O. box or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the permit. I bought the permit.
Yeah.
They were just crazy.
Get the IDs. I'll go down to the CHP and I'll also go down, to
Yeah,
the sheriff's office
absolutely.
and actually just talk to them and do it periodically and say, hey, look, these are the kind of IDs. These are the reasons why we need to come. This is what the situation
Yeah,
is.
because what I could see is somebody's at the bottom of the hill, and we desperately like you, and we desperately need you up here, and they don't let you through because it's snowing.
Yeah.
Even if you have a 4-wheel drive or whatever, so.
Absolutely. I think that's a good thing to do.
Cool.
Once we decide what get a clearance through the agencies.
All
I'll
right.
carry it over.
Number 15. Instead of trying to spend $400 on because that's what it costs on average to go down to La Sierra, Los Pinos, or whatever for
Dinner.
Christmas dinner. Let's spend, $100 or $150. Buy the food. We have the barbecue. They got bought with recycled meters. Just plan it for a lunch day. Not try to get everybody possible available. Just whoever can come. Staff
And whoever can make it.
family, board members, their family. Whoever can make it can make it. Whoever can't make it, just have to drink. Who's drinking and driving home. And you don't have to worry about who's bringing family members because it costs so much.
Right.
It'll just.
And it's like a potluck besides the.
Hold it here.
Well, we could, but I'd rather not have the employees feel like they need to bring anything. I think if you just plan like $100, buy the you could buy.
Last time the
Stuff.
board brought like the
Yeah, that's
slides.
fine. And
The
I'll
board
bring
can,
stuff
not the
in.
employees.
Yeah, and I'd bring stuff, as the manager, but.
And then we bought the meat. I mean,
Yeah.
when we've done this before, we've
I think
bought.
we buy the nice
meat
dry
and
tips
then
and some
we-
potato
yeah.
salad and chips and some drinks, and we're still going to be, under the $100 or at the $100.
And if we
it's
want to
cheap.
bring something, then we
Yeah.
can. I'm,
So it'll be held here?
Yeah, right here at the office.
yeah, I far
Yeah,
prefer that.
absolutely.
I make a motion that we don't spend more than $150.
Okay.
Cool. I'll second that.
And you said 150?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if board members, can you
You
add
got
a
a second?
friendly amendment? Board members want to bring side dishes or whatever, that's fine, but employees
I
don't.
mean,
need to
I'm
bring
okay with
anything.
that. That
Yeah.
goes without saying. I'm concerned about the money.
And then as a side note, the
Oh,
turkeys.
wait.
Wait,
Wait,
Oh,
we
I thought you
had
voted.
a second
Voted.
on the friendly amendment.
Do I hear a second?
There was.
It was already
seconded.
seconded.
I just added
Added
it.
the amendment.
Are
Okay.
they
All
okay
in
with
favor?
it?
Aye.
Aye.
So I thought you voted already. 'Cause you
No,
did the
go ahead
friendly
now.
amendment. Anyway, the turkeys that we always buy, I'll be buying those turkeys for employees at some point when I find a sale. So, for the Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I just got a
Thanksgiving.
turkey for my church.
Yeah.
At Winco,
Oh, okay.
and it was 59 cents a pound. I bought a 20-pound turkey, and it was $11.
You know what the problem
Oh,
with Winco
man.
is? I went there last year and I had all the turkeys and hams in the cart. Got up there and they wouldn't take the credit card. They don't take credit cards.
No,
They
No,
don't
no,
take
you
these
gotta
ham
use a
cards.
debit card.
So then I had all these turkeys and hams in the cart and I had to go put them all back
Yep.
because you can't use the credit card at Winco.
Yeah,
you
you
pull
have to-
cash out of your pocket? Come on.
I didn't have any
man.
cash.
I mean, I was surprised that they already had
I
turkeys on
rolled it.
sale, but
Yeah.
But can't we take it out of petty cash and then reimburse it? I'd rather do
Yeah,
that.
we
if
can
it's
figure out
cheaper.
something around that. Come
Yeah,
on.
we have $200 petty cash in the
There it is.
thing, so yeah, I can do that too. That's fine with me.
I mean, another store might have.
I like Winco anyway.
Me
That-
too.
That's
Oh,
what
Let's go.
Next.
Okay.
I like not paying very much for the turkeys.
Like it for free.
I didn't read them. So.
I didn't either.
I wasn't here.
And I apologize, they came in a lot later than I would have liked.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say.
Gone 2
shit.
weeks. and
Lake
then
Tahoe, yeah.
And it's
I was
pretty
gone, I
long.
was sick, and then
Well, I
That was the
reviewed it. I have on page 3.
Okay, page 3. Page 3.
On the first second paragraph towards the end, it seemed he requested that if it becomes a topic for the board discussion at a later date, comma, he be invited to come speak.
Where do you see that?
The end, the second paragraph, the last sentence.
So I'm thinking that
Speak.
later date
Oh.
that, we put a that in there. I mean,
Or he is.
however you want to do it, I don't care.
It sounds incorrect. It's not, but it sounds weird. Looks weird.
Either way. You want to put that in there?
That's what I was thinking. Get
After
rid
the
of the
comma?
comma, or just get rid of the comma and say that, because it becomes one sentence.
I added that.
Yeah, it flows better without the comma. At a later date, he'd be invited to come and speak.
And that's all. I think that's all I had. Yeah, I that's all I had. Anyways, that was the only one. The only thing.
Yeah,
that
I didn't find anything else, but I'm on page 5.
So I make a motion that I move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, October 11th, 2018, with the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may have not caught or that may need to be corrected.
You just need to approve it with amendments. Because you may have an amendment.
Oh, and approve with amendment.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Nice.
Yes. 4-0-1. Discussion and vote on future agenda items.
Have you got a list of the
December.
added agenda items for December?
The ones we've already talked about?
Yeah, like can you just give us a brief overview of how many agenda items we're gonna have now?
Yes. Let me get it. I've been it.
While she's doing that, can you tell me how trunk or treat went?
Oh, that's
Because
I
I
have
saw
to do
that in the little notes.
Yeah, I spent I think it was like $60 or $65 on the candy. I ended up first I spent 50, filled the I had a lunch tub up here, and then it was such a big hit. I ran over Dollar General and spent 10 more because there were still tons of kids coming.
Here to the office?
No,
No,
we
to
did it at the library.
okay,
But we
okay.
took the work truck down. I thought I sent you guys pictures.
You
I'll show you
did, somebody
Yeah,
did,
I
yes.
And Heather and Tiffany and Cassandra decorated the work truck, and they were wearing their costumes, and the kids loved it.
You were in a costume.
No, I mean, my brother Richard was.
Oh, is that who it
handicapped
was?
brother Richard was
Okay.
wearing a costume, but I was a Grinch. I didn't dress up, but it was a big hit. Everybody liked it. We had the Forest Service there, the fire department. Old Bill was there.
Nice.
It was really cool. So it was a big hit. I'd like to do that every year. It was good.
Alrighty.
Yeah, there,
Okay, are we
Adjourn?
Oh, she's gonna tell us how many items are on the agenda for December.
December.
Okay.
well, because we're out of order.
No, we're not.
No, this is.
No, I just asked
She
you
was
to
making
agenda.
Well,
information.
I know, but you're, it's not, he should have been done during the report, and we were supposed to go back to it if
Yeah.
you're gonna do
Okay.
that.
So
Managers report.
I'm just
You're totally
okay, we're
correct.
keeping
taking
the
up more time
protocol.
now. Okay, let's
Okay.
go.
So for December, we're rotating the board positions. We have a closed session for employee evaluations. We have a discussion on amending the pay scale, which has to be done first and foremost because minimum wage has gone up and our pay scale doesn't apply. The minimum on the pay scale. General manager contract,
Renewal.
to be, for renewal.
You gonna do that?
We were talking about putting an item to try to save cost on AT&T and BTE, but we may not have a solution for December, what we were talking about. And then you added the contract with Lake of the Woods to possibly help them with operation. The quote on a new pump from today, emergency preparedness information, and talking to legislatures about helping to subsidize low income. We're carrying over number 14. So
Does that legislature thing need to be on the agenda if I'm going to talk to them, or
Do the managers report and just see where we're at on that. It's just something I just want
Letter
to
item.
start
Cool.
talking about.
all right? Perfect.
okay, so letter under manager's report. So very full, and that doesn't mean anything won't come up between now and then. January, I may throw back some of the stuff that's disappeared over the years. Just
Yeah,
'cause
we
it's
need
the
to
start
do
of the
that
new
just
year.
to.
I mean, over the last year, there's things that's disappeared we
Right.
can put back on, and AB ethics training is going to be due very soon again.
Again?
Oh, God.
Every 2 years, and it was.
It doesn't seem like it's been
No,
2
it
years.
doesn't.
Now,
It doesn't seem
Oh,
like it's been a year since
do we have
rotated
to,
positions.
do we have to,
Possibly swearing in.
swearing in
Kelly.
Terry
Yeah.
because she won the election?
Yes.
Right,
Oh, so
which I'll get the.
And you need a
information from
notary
her
for that. Or, oh no, you don't, because another board member can act as the,
As the swearing. The
swearing.
secretary.
Don't we have to
Witness.
get sworn in too?
no.
Sworn
No.
in.
We
No,
were
because-
elected.
Oh yeah, we have to
Yeah.
get sworn in. It's
Duh.
it's me, Gibson, and Kelly.
You guys ran unopposed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll send me that. The elections office will send me all the
Such a
forms
great
for
job.
the
How
swearing.
soon I forget.
These swearing, but
So I can't do the swearing.
I was gonna say, can
What's
you
swearing,
You
isn't
can't
it?
swear
I can't.
yourself.
No.
So we may need a
The
notary.
clerk can't the clerk of the board do it or no? You need to
We'll
ask.
find out.
I think clerk of the board can do
It
it.
could, yeah. It might. Be
I remember doing that one time.
Okay.
Big hit, by the way. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Do you?
easy to find things.
Okay.
I really
Good. I
do.
wasn't sure it would go
You
over.
want us to empty them?
I can do it.
You need to clue us in on the color codes though,
That's what she was saying. That those are the agenda items.
the numbers.
Yeah.
They're
that's
up.
it. That's-
So if it's if it's agenda item 3, go to tab 3, and that's where the agenda is discussed. If there's any paperwork to go with it.
The colors I did just to separate items.
The sections of the
The section,
financial
yeah.
financial
No,
records.
because this one here.
I'll look if
So if we want
oh,
you
oh,
to,
that's, she's just talking
um,
about the sticky tabs,
to
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
show it.
just
different sections.
yeah, she
put
just
it in
separated
the
the financial
to be
records. The 3
shredded
sections.
pile because we know that you
Pull them up
already.
and look at the front page.
Then we just
It's
leave
a
that
different
stuff
section
in
of the
it, and anything
financial
I
report.
want to hold on to, I take out.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, take what, if you're gonna take something, pull it out now. Anything left in the notebooks, I'll
Right.
just put
Put
in
in the
my
shredder.
Okay.
shred bin.
Like some people want to use the very back section to put stuff they want to save, but
I'll take it home and
I mean,
file
they're
it.
not, I didn't put names.
That's why I have
in them,
that big
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
pile of stuff there,
Okay.
but it could get really thick really
And
fast.
people should look at cleaning out their inboxes.
Okay.
No, the reason I keep that stuff there.
Yeah,
is-
but you need to look through some of those things that
Mine's
you need to
Definitely
figure out
way
There's
what
a
you
few
overdue.
new things, but some stuff's there for a reason.
Well, they'll look
I
through
can
them
probably
in the
go through
fall.
yours and handle that, no problem.
thank you, Bob.
Because you don't put anything important up there. You just that's just your mail and stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. 5008.